So let's start with Lviv, my native city. Iolanta Prishliak, co-founder of the INSO Lviv Symphony Orchestra, Deputy General Director of the Lviv National Philharmonic, by training a lawyer and psychologist. I will read out some quotes from her answers. So, answering how are Russian attacks affecting your daily life, Iolanta says, I have adapted to what the times demand, although I understand very well that I live and work in conditions unacceptable for a person in the 21st century. Over these years, I have learned to keep my fears under control, because it is impossible to die twice. My life is built around certain routines, assessing the level of danger, having an emergency bag packed, and having action plans for different scenarios. I have the necessary equipment ready, a generator, an EcoFlow, a filled gas cylinder, charged torches, everything for emergencies, and yet it's impossible to foresee everything. Then Iolanta answers the next question, why, in your opinion, is Russia terrorizing peaceful Ukraine and its citizens? I think, she says, the causes of Russian terror against Ukraine and its citizens have deep historical roots. Just as Nazi Germany once terrorized Great Britain, today's Russia is acting aggressively against Ukraine, seeking subjugation and dominance. Historically, the Russian state developed as an empire characterized by a drive to control neighboring countries. Ukrainians were often seen in that paradigm not as equals, but as junior people or even second class. This imperial mindset and the refusal to accept Ukraine's right to an independent path largely explain the present aggression. Something positive that keeps her going. By nature, I'm an optimist, and I'm convinced that when the heart is full of love, anything is possible. I'm inspired by music and by the wonderful people around me, my family, children and grandchildren. I'm happy because I am alive. Now let's go to Lozova, Kharkiv region. Lyudmila Matskevich, 67 years old, pensioner. The war is terrible for my moral and physical state. It leads to constant stress, nervous breakdowns, insomnia, new illness, despair, uncertainty. Then she says, addressing Russians, no electricity, but without you. No heating, but without you. No water, but without you. The most cynical, vile, and cruel thing is night attacks. They attack at night, when a person is most helpless and vulnerable. You wake suddenly at another explosion. In fear, you pull the blanket over your head, press yourself deeper into the sofa, start counting the explosions, and pray, pray, pray. Your mind is with your children, and you beg God that the Shahed will bypass their building and not hit their home. Better mine, not theirs. I'll carry on in the next story about Lyudmila. Then Lyudmila from Lozova carries on. Why does Russia terrorize Ukraine? She answers, in my view, Russia terrorizes civilians firstly because it cannot achieve major success on the battlefield. It wants to break the resistance of the Ukrainian people, suppress the will to resist, force a surrender, put Ukrainians on their knees. But they don't understand one thing. The more they kill us, the more hatred we feel towards them. What help Ukraine needs, she says, moral support. And most importantly, modern weapons. Something positive that keeps her going. Sadly, there is very little positivity in real life right now, but we stay afloat thanks to faith in our heroic armed forces, where my son and his brothers in arms are fighting. If Ukraine is still alive and resisting, it is thanks to them, our boys, our heroes, living and fallen for Ukraine. Now let's move to the next region, Slavyansk, which still remains free. My name is Evgenia Kaluhina. I am the director of the Slavyansk Local History Museum, a person who searches for fallen soldiers and those missing without trace. I teach Thai boxing, Muay Thai. I am a mother of 2 wonderful girls and a wife. I was born in Slavyansk, as were all my relatives on the Trivali line. I know my family line since 1710 in Donetsk region. Because of the war, I'm forced to live between regions, but Slavyansk remains my home and my zone of responsibility, of boundless love, because your home is not only a house, it is family, leisure, friends, work, memories, feeling of a city. That is your home. How do Russian attacks impact your daily life? They define the rhythm of everything. Work, everyday life, planning. I'm gonna carry on in the next story. Evgenia Kaluhina in Slavyansk carries on. We constantly live with adjustments for alerts, shelling, power cuts, and danger to people and cultural heritage. We adapt. When I'm in the city, I carry a shotgun and intuition. This is how I protect myself and my child from drones that hunt people. Chronic fatigue, tension, lack of sleep have become normal. Psychologically, the hardest part is responsibility for people, the museum collection, and decisions that must be made quickly, often under risk. Sport helps, love for my husband and family helps, so do science and research. Night is the hardest. My thoughts are about loved ones, colleagues, the museum, the city. It helps to realize that my work has meaning. I preserve memory and the future. That gives strength to fall asleep and to wake up. Why does Russia terrorize Ukraine? Because it fears freedom, identity, and Ukrainians' right to be themselves. Finishing from Evgenia Kaluhina's testimony, one more thing. She says, terror is a tool of intimidation when there is neither truth nor moral strength. When answering what help Ukraine needs, she says, first and foremost, protection, air defense, weapons, support for the army. Humanitarian assistance is also critically important, as is support for culture and heritage preservation, because that is the foundation of our identity, something positive that keeps her going. People keep me going. Colleagues, volunteers, international support, my child, and also faith that culture and memory will survive the war and that we will definitely return to peaceful life. Right, let's move to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Irina, I work as a lawyer in a bank. A few quotes from her. Coping at night and thoughts before sleep. She says, every evening before sleep, I check information about possible attacks. During high-risk periods, it's not always possible to fall asleep. As for thoughts, most of the time you try to believe in the best, but there are moments when you start saying goodbye to everyone in your mind. Why does Russia terrorize Ukraine? She says, out of helplessness, at the front they decided to frighten civilians. It's the behavior of a true coward, using weapons against those who cannot respond, meaning civilians. What help Ukraine needs? Military support and external economic support, sanctions and any other methods of pressure. Something positive. She says, try to be useful and socially active. Volunteer. Now we stay in Kyiv region. Marina, head of compensation and benefits. Kyiv region, the village of Bilohorodka. Impact on daily life. Her thoughts. The usual rhythm of life gets disrupted amid constant alert. Transport stops, venues close, events stop, the education process stops. You are in a constant rush trying to catch up on the time that was taken from you. After the latest attacks, when we sat for 10 and even 19 hours without electricity and others had no power for several days, quality of life dropped sharply. We had to fit basic household tasks into 1.5 hours, warming the children and the flat. Impact on health. I don't feel physical health worsening yet, but there is more fatigue, apathy, and a sense of no prospects. Why Russia terrorizes Ukraine? Because Russia is a terrorist state. Its entire history is tied to conquest. I'll carry on. By terrorizing peaceful cities, Marina carries on, they hope we will exhaust sooner and make concessions on their terms. What help Ukraine needs? She says, effective sanctions, powerful weapons, support for the energy system, and financial assistance. Something positive that keeps going. I'm starting to build small long-term plans. For example, planning a summer holiday. Thinking about summer, about the future in 4-6 months, gives a sense that there will be a future. In the here and now, I try to find and go to interesting local events, or go to a cafe and order something delicious. Now we move to Chernihiv. Katerina, internet marketer. Chernihiv is another city very near the front. On impact on daily life, she says, it demoralizes you to realize that every attack costs someone's life. The more it happens, the more it drains you. Impact on health. Physically, it causes strong fatigue and apathy. Emotionally, it brings anger and a desire to help others. How do you cope at night? Thoughts before sleep. Night attacks cause insomnia. I just hope nobody dies. Why Russia terrorizes Ukraine? I think these people are psychologically ill. No sane person would commit or support such atrocities. We need financial, psychological, political, and media help. Something positive that keeps her going. God motivates me to get up every morning and live on. Life is not just existing here and now, it is something much bigger. Another person from Chernihiv, Solomia, she's a student. After the full-scale invasion began, I started taking sedatives, and I'm still taking stabilizers. My father is in the military, so in such moments of the attacks, I worry about him, but it doesn't give me a reason to lose heart. Before going to bed, I tune out external sounds, go to sleep with good thoughts and prayer. I don't think Russians do this out of intelligence. They destroyed our culture for centuries. The EMS Ukaz is an example. I'll explain. It's an 1876 law banning the use of Ukrainian language in print. The law also forbade the import of Ukrainian publications and the staging of plays or lectures in Ukrainian. She says that volunteering helps her. I run social media and I write songs. It distracts me. So now we will hear from Kharkiv. Viktor Timoshevsky, pensioner. I live in the city of Kharkiv. Since the full-scale invasion, my life and the lives of my loved ones and friends who have remained in the city has been one continuous horror. I maintain my physical and psychological health with medication. Constant shelling and air raid alerts force us to live one day at a time, focusing only on basic needs. Russia's goal is the destruction of Ukraine's statehood, in short. We are grateful to every country for its help. I would like American and European countries to have military bases here for 100 years. That is the only way that would give us the possibility to live without fear. Now I'll bring you to Zaporizhia. And these are some of the most sobering answers that came to me from that questionnaire. Nika Horobec, Associate Professor, PhD, Professor of Manufacturing Engineering Technologies. The city of Zaporizhia, quite close to the grey zone. Let's try and close our eyes and allow Nika to bring us into her reality. So Professor Horobec from Zaporizhia says, I wish I could say I've got used to it. I sleep half-dressed. Practically everyone does now. Believe me, it isn't comfortable. My gadgets are nearby, charging just in case, because electricity can disappear according to schedule or for a long time without warning. If you're interested, it happens like this. You're sitting in the evening, drinking tea. First the bulb flickers once or twice. Nika carries on. So if you're interested, it happens like this. You're sitting in the evening, drinking tea. First the bulb flickers once or twice, then everything goes dark. And only then you hear a distant explosion. And if there is an impact, night or day, it's better to have your phone right there. It might be needed. In winter, the windows are closed because it's cold, but that's bad. Then the blast wave can tear them out with the frames. So as soon as it warms up a little, the windows will be open. Then there is a chance the damage will be less. At home and at work, every action is automatically thought through. You analyze directions. How glass might fly from the window. You can't put anything opposite the window. Everything goes into cupboards and drawers. If there are bags, they're tied. Nothing is left open. Then there is less to clean and throw away. Of course, it won't save you from a direct hit, but then that's fate. A remark, Nika says. Sometimes I think these monsters are deliberately depriving us of sunlight. Some of my acquaintances have chipboard instead of all windows, with only a small cutout about the size of a palm. In winter, even that is covered. Children in nurseries and schools are underground, without windows, without sun, and we now have very thick curtains to protect us from glass, and we don't open them during the day either. Every time you leave home or work, you are clearly aware that you may have nowhere to return to, that what is on you and with you is all you have, and nothing more. And this feels normal, although it isn't normal. It is not normal. It doesn't shock you or feel unacceptable. It's simply a statement of fact, so we behave accordingly. We work on external drives. I remind you, she works at the university and in the cloud, so that if something happens to someone, information, lectures, documentation, grades already entered won't be lost. Students still need to study. What can you do? Such is life. One more rule, Nika says, that wasn't mandatory before. Do everything you can today. Don't pull it off until tomorrow. Now, there is an unpleasant, even ominous meaning. You might have been able to do something, an important document, a meeting, a parcel, an apology, a decisive conversation, a boss's signature, and you didn't, and the next day it might already be too late, irreversibly. You install a camera in your parents' flat. They live in another district, so you don't have to phone them after every blast. Especially at night, you can quietly switch it on and see the window is intact, meaning they're okay, if you can even call any of this okay. Coping at night, thoughts before sleep. Tonight is quiet, but only for now. At any moment, something can happen, and we permanently expect it. How do we cope? I work, read, listen to audiobooks until I fall asleep. At night, I wake up several times because drones fly. Often that's how it is. I play a little game. I don't know, maybe it's advertising, but fine. Heyday Farm. It's oddly addictive. In the sky, it's a nightmare. Booming, anti-aircraft guns, machine guns, the rattling of shaheeds, and you are playing because you need to send a ship with potatoes and jam. Very reluctantly, I slide out of bed, wrapped in a blanket, go into the corridor, 2 walls rule. Sit on a stool, read what hit where. It's scary, of course, especially when explosions are very close. But right now, as I'm writing this, 1:30 at night, it's quiet. It's raining. You focus on the silence, and it's so good. What do I think before sleep? I plan tomorrow, what needs to be done, whether that tomorrow will exist. But if it does exist, and you have no plan, then you won't manage anything and you'll drift like seaweed. Especially after a sleepless night, sometimes your head is empty as a drum. I keep a notebook and pen at hand to write quickly so I don't forget. Especially at night when thoughts run away faster than you can write them down. Why does Russia terrorize Ukraine? She says they have always been like this. Read about the Holodomor. What help Ukraine needs? Weapons, drones, shells, lots of them. Vehicles, ambulances for evacuation. We need to feel your help, that we are not alone against this invasion. Something positive that keeps her going. Nothing comes to mind. There can't be no positives. Before I used to sing, now there is no inspiration. I used to draw just for fun. Don't feel like it anymore. I used to work in the vegetable garden in the village. I loved it. Now there are no gardens, no village, though something is there. Oh, 2 impacts, by sound more than 5 kilometers from us. Unpleasant, and only now the siren has started. Where was I? About our gardens and village. Now there are ruins, stones, bricks, trees shredded into splinters, rubbish, craters, and everything is mined. There are no beautiful houses, no neat gardens, no rose bushes. I had 14 rose bushes, and all different. Neighbors grew strawberries and raspberries. The smell in summer was unbelievable. Where do you look for something positive? A piece of work done well, sitting by the Dnipro River for a while, but not now. In winter it's bleak and slushy. Maybe good music. Postscriptum, she says. I can write about pluses I've noticed, although I don't know why they matter. When their cause is minuses. 1. There are far more women drivers now. Everyone wants to be useful, and with a car you can help far more. And men drive more at the front now, so that too. Everyone is more organized and responsible. You can see it even in children. They clearly understand that disorganization and irresponsibility can end fatally. Not only for you. When they hold hands in pairs and calmly go down into the shelter, it tears your heart every time. You can't get used to that. There is also a kind of togetherness. Older children automatically look after younger ones, and the younger ones aren't annoyed by it. 3. It sounds strange, but I'd call it forgiveness and tolerance. There was much less of that before. Now you forgive almost everything, because tomorrow might not come. And I will finish these testimonies with a quote from a Ukrainian woman who works for the British Embassy in Ukraine. As a Ukrainian, I am deeply grateful to His Majesty's government for its constant, enormous attention to Ukraine and for its comprehensive support over many years in different areas, military, political, socio-economic, in promoting important reforms and in supporting Ukraine's European integration course, for truly reliable strategic partnership, for providing homes for Ukrainians in Great Britain, and as a member of the Embassy, I am grateful for the opportunity to build a shared future on the right side of the history under the 100-year partnership agreement.